Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Wacky and Weird Wednesday, and there are wacky and weird things, of course, going on every day, and we're going to cover some of the stuff we've found. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look at the news headlines 10 to 15 minutes before we start without any caffeine. So let's read out those headlines. Today on Before Coffee, the Netherlands officially requests an opt-out clause from the EU asylum rules.
And something out of a James Bond novel, Hezbollah is attacked by 1,000 exploding pagers.
New Iranian president says morality police should stop harassing women.
A deep space radio signal reaches Earth after 8 billion years. I wonder if they're playing the latest hits.
In culture news, let's talk about Fable and its 20-year anniversary.
And it's National Cheeseburger Day. So get your cheese, get your burger, and eat. It's September 18th, 2024 on Before Coffee. The
sun is almost coming up.
There's a sun there, right?
Get hyped. Yeah, I hope that the sun's here. Yeah, so it should be arriving shortly, I think.
I see a dead
The birds are chirping already, I'm sure. Okay.
Completely dark still.
The time difference is beginning already.
My union reps can hear about this. Anyway, go ahead.
For a short update here from yesterday's culture news segment, we will confirm that Sean Diddy Combs is being charged with racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking in a federal indictment. So that was unsealed yesterday after we went off air because we were a bit too early for this story. The story was like an afternoon story, not a morning story. So Combs is expected to plead not guilty, as we already heard from the lawyer many times where he has been pleading guilty. But there's like a 14-page indictment on CNN that you can read where it's just like, you know, preserving, promoting, or enhancing the power of Combs, doing a bunch of sex trafficking, racketeering. There's a racketeering conspiracy from at least 2008 through on or about the date of the filing. The Southern District of New York is another known. I love how it's like Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, P Diddy, Diddy, PD, Love, and other unknown names to the prosecutors. How many names does this guy have? But he did kidnapping, you know,
Sean,
arson,
Puffy,
bribery, you know, just all of the things. Well, so he's being hit with a lot of stuff in there. But that's our update on that story. Now let's go to some wacky and weird news.
Being held without bail. Did you mention that? Did you mention he's being held without bail?
Held without bail. Okay, yeah, that's not in here. That's not in the indictment. I was just reading the indictment paper. I wasn't looking at what actually happened as a result of it.
Him and Trump could become cellmates. New York State. Hey, maybe. Could happen. Sentencing's happening after the election.
Okay.
Trump is not winning an election. Sorry, he's not winning. He can claim he's winning it. He's
but on to my story.
Like last time, at least. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's talk about the wacky and weird world of people not wanting to asylum refugees. And the Netherlands is another country joined that list who are requesting to opt out of the EU's asylum rules. Now, that's why this is a weird story, because I don't understand it as a person. It doesn't matter if I'm an immigrant or what color I am. As a human, I don't understand wanting to treat refugees worse than they already are treated. That's why they're running away. The four-party coalition, and this is on Euronews by, I don't know, it's breaking news. That's who's by. It's by Breaking News. Jorge Liborriero. That's who it's by. The four-party coalition in the Netherlands, led by Prime Minister Dick Schoof, has promised to build up the strictest asylum regime ever. That's not something to brag about, in my opinion. The new Dutch government has fulfilled its promise and submitted a request to the European Commission to secure an opt-out clause from the EU's migration and asylum system. an unprecedented move from a founding member state. That's right, the Netherlands is a founding member state of the EU, and they're going off the rails. I've just informed the European Commission that I want the migration opt-out within Europe for the Netherlands. Marjolein Faber, the Dutch Minister for Asylum and Migration, said Tuesday morning, which was the 17th of September. We need to be in charge of our own asylum policy again. Faber belongs to the Party for Freedom, PVV, a far-right, ultra-nationalist party led by Geert Wilders, who is the main force behind the new ruling coalition. He's also very anti-Muslim or anti-Islam, so he doesn't want any people of different religion in his country, like people here aren't mostly agnostic. The opt-out plan, previewed in July and confirmed last week, is considered far-fetched and symbolic, with little to no chance of succeeding, as it will require retweaking highly sensitive legislation and could open floodgates for similar demands. In her letter to Ylva Johannesson, the European Commissioner for Home Affairs, Faber admits the opt-out could only be achieved in case of a treaty amendment rather than short term. It's unlikely that other capitals would be willing to accommodate The Hague's wish. Excluding the Netherlands from the bloc's migration system would inevitably cause a wave of asylum seekers towards neighboring countries, creating a crisis scenario. However, the request represents a new brazen attempt by the EU country to challenge established laws in a desperate quest to curb irregular immigration. It comes on heels of Germany's decision to re-establish its border controls, which we talked about, I think, on Monday, on all of its 9 land borders, casting doubt over the functioning of the passport-free Schengen area. The Dutch government has indicated that as long as this opt-out clause is not granted, the country will focus on implementing the new Pact on Migration and Asylum, the vast reform the EU completed in May after almost 4 years of hard-fought negotiations. The Pact's main novelty is a system of mandatory solidarity that will give countries 3 options to manage asylum seekers: relocate to a certain number of them, pay 20,000 euros for each one they reject, or finance operational support. The Netherlands will choose financial support rather than reception. You hear that, guys? Your taxes are going to keep asylum seekers out. Every one is a 20,000 charge. So if you don't want to do that, if you don't want your tax money to go into such a useless fine, let your local and national leaders know. Last Friday, in anticipation of the government's program, the Commission made it clear that all member states are bound by existing rules, and that any exemption from their compliance should be negotiated before, not after they're approved. We have adopted legislation, it's adopted. You don't opt out of adopted legislation in the EU, a spokesperson said on Friday, which was, let me look at my calendar, the 13th of September. That's the general principle. In May, the Netherlands voted in favor of all laws that make up the new pact. See, so they voted for it in May. They can't pull out of it now, even if it was a different government. I don't think it was a different government. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember what the election was. Ugh, my brain is melted. The overhaul will take 2 years to enter into force. Member states have to submit implementation plans before the end of the year, detailing the administrative, operational, and legal steps they intend to make to the laws as a reality. So, the Netherlands is deciding we will accept 0 asylum seekers now, and we will take the 20 euro charge for each one we reject. And that's going to be interesting, and I'm sure no one will be angry that their taxes are going to that. That's my weird and wacky news out of where I'm living. On to yours.
Okay. Well, back into the war in Israel/Gaza/Middle East instability, which is kind of a theme of, well, my entire life. At least since I've been around, it's been unstable. Always fighting over, whatever. All right, we're going to have we have Hezbollah vows to punish Israel after pager explosions across Lebanon. This is from Reuters.com. Leila Bassam. Militant group Hezbollah promised to retaliate against Israel, accusing it of detonating pagers across Lebanon on Tuesday, killing 9 people and wounding nearly 3,000 others, who included fighters and Iran's envoy to Beirut. Lebanese Information Minister Ziad Makareh condemned the late afternoon detonation of the pagers. Handheld devices that Hezbollah and others in Lebanon used to send messages is an Israeli aggression. Hezbollah said Israel will receive its fair punishment for the blasts. The Israeli military, which has been engaged in cross-border fighting with Iran-backed Hezbollah since the start of the Gaza war in October, declined to respond to questions about the detonation. The death toll rose from 8 to 9 on Tuesday night, while the number of injured remained at 2,750, Lebanon's health ministry said. Hezbollah confirmed in an earlier statement that the deaths included at least two of its fighters and a young girl. The pagers exploded in southern Lebanon, the southern suburbs of Beirut known as Dayeye, and the eastern Baké Valley, all Hezbollah strongholds. In one instance, closed-circuit surveillance video carried by a regional broadcaster showed a person paying at a grocery store as what appeared to be a small handheld device placed next to the cashier exploded. A Hezbollah official speaking on condition of anonymity said the incident was the biggest security breach for the group in nearly a year of conflict with Israel. The New York Times reported that Israel hid explosive material in the Taiwan-made gold Apollo pagers before they were imported to Lebanon, citing American and other officials briefed on the operation. The material was implanted next to the battery with a switch that could be triggered remotely to detonate. The Palestinian militant group Hamas, which was waging war with Israel and Gaza, said the pager blasts were an escalation that would only lead Israel to failure and defeat. So, more posturing. UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon, Janine Hannes-Plasschaert, deplored the attack in a statement and said it marked an extremely concerning escalation of the conflict. Washington said it was not involved in explosions. It did not know who was responsible. The U.S. renewed calls for diplomatic solution to tensions between Israel and Lebanon. It urged Iran, which, with its ally Hezbollah, Yemen's Houthis, and armed groups in Iraq, has formed an axis of resistance against Israeli and U.S. influence, not to take advantage of any incidents to raise instability. Without commenting directly on the explosions in Lebanon, an Israeli military spokesman said the chief of staff, Major General Herzi Halevi, met with senior officials on Tuesday evening to discuss the situation. No policy change was announced, but vigilance must continue to be maintained. Hezbollah fighters have been using pagers as low-tech means of communication in an attempt to evade Israeli location tracking. That's right, you can't really track a pager like you can track a cell phone. So if you use a pager, it's not sending out a little ping every now and then saying, hey, here I am. It's just sitting there waiting for instructions. I'm totally passive. So pagers do not give you your location away. However, you can plant explosives in them. Two sources familiar with the group's operation, the Hezbollah fighters have been using pagers as low-tech means of communications in an attempt to evade Israeli location tracking. Two sources familiar with the group's operation told Reuters this year a pager is wireless. We gotta explain what a pager is now because nobody uses them anymore. A pager is a wireless telecommunications device that receives and displays messages.
Oh God, you know you're old when. What's a pager? You know you're old when they're explaining what a pager is, yeah.
Right, nobody has them anymore, right? Iran's ambassador to Lebanon, Mojtaba Amani, suffered a superficial injury on Tuesday's pager blast and was under observation in hospital, Iran's semi-official Fars news agency said. Reuters could not immediately confirm the report. The casualties include Hezbollah fighters who are the sons of top officials from the armed group, two security sources told Reuters. One of those killed was the son of a Hezbollah member of the Lebanese parliament, Ali Ammar, they said. This is not a security targeting of 1, 2, or 3 people. This is a targeting of an entire nation, senior Hezbollah official Hussein Khalil said, while paying his condolences for Ammar's son. Air France announced late Tuesday it was suspending flights connecting Paris with Beirut and Tel Aviv through Thursday due to security concerns. Oh yeah, one of them could have gone out on an airplane. No shit, huh?
Yeah.
Early on Tuesday, Israel's domestic... It's one of them risks they were willing to take, right? Early on Tuesday, Israel Domestic Security Agency said it had foiled a plot by Hezbollah to assassinate a former senior defense official in the coming days. And she's spelling defense with a C, which means she's a British reporter, because defense has an S in America. Anyway, Hezbollah said it wants to avoid all-out conflict with Israel, that only at the end of the Gaza war will stop the cross-border clashes. Gaza ceasefire efforts remain deadlocked, so no news there. Talks are mediated by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. While they saw a threat of escalations, experts were more skeptical for now about the potential for an imminent full-scale Israel-Hezbollah war, which the United States has sought to prevent, which it believes neither side wants. After Tuesday's blast, ambulances rushed to the southern suburbs of Beirut amid widespread panic. At Mount Lebanon Hospital outside Beirut, a Reuters reporter saw motorcycles rushing to the emergency room and people with bloody hands screaming in pain. The head of the Nabate Public Hospital in south of the country, Hassan Wazni, told Reuters that around 40 people were being treated at his facility. The wounds included injuries to the face, eyes, and limbs. Hezbollah fired missiles at Israel immediately after the October 7 attacks by Hamas gunmen on Israel that triggered the Gaza war. Hezbollah and Israel have been exchanging fire ever since while avoiding major escalation. Hezbollah has lost more than 400 fighters in Israeli strikes over the past year, including its top commander, Fouad Shukr, in July. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced from towns and villages on both sides of the border by hostilities. On Tuesday, Israel added to its former war goals the return of the citizens to their homes near the border with Lebanon. So there's your update of the Middle East and this James Bond shit. Pagers just exploding. Probably less collateral damage than dropping a missile. But
I hope.
Or dropping a bomb or shooting a missile.
I would like,
a lot of innocent
less
people got
collateral
hurt.
damage is nice.
Yeah, a lot of innocent people got hurt. It's a trippy James Bond shit, but I think what it really does is make Hezbollah totally not be able to organize properly around any kind of communication, right? All their pagers have been basically rendered useless to them. They're not going to trust any electronics device. That's really it's kind of a psychops thing.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Pager's going to explode. Holy shit. Yeah, anyway. Back to you.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, James Bond in real life. Well, speaking of the Middle East some more, I guess, let's talk about Iran and what Iranian's president has said yesterday on the 17th of September about his morality police. Mosoud Pezeshkian believes that Iran's moral police should not harass women on the streets for not wearing their headscarves properly. Oh, you mean like that one woman who was like taken captive and tortured and then killed in custody or something? Like 3 years ago. This is a wacky and weird news because this person's the president, so he should just, maybe he should reform them instead of just talking about what they shouldn't do. The new Iranian president, who is the president after the previous president's helicopter crash into a mountain, remarks during his first press conference yesterday are being widely shared on social media. Pezeshkian, who took office in late July, responded in the press conference to a female journalist who said she had to take a detour because of street checks to be there. She was wearing hijab, but some of her hair was visible. The morality police shouldn't be addressing women at all, Pezeshkian responded. I'm going to make sure they stop harassing them. Yeah, there you go, some words of action. The timing of the ruling is notable. Pezeshkian held his press conference on the day 2 years ago that Mahsa Amini, this is what I was talking about, the 22-year-old woman detained by morality police for allegedly violating Iran's strict rules on headscarves, died in custody. Police said she died of heart failure. Yeah, why is her heart so strong in the jail? But there's no evidence she was abused in custody. But there was also evidence, that she was abused in custody. Yeah, maybe that's why she died of a heart attack. Shock. I mean, these deaths sparked months of nationwide protest against the oppression of women. Iran eventually cracked down hard to prevent further demonstrations under their previous president, I'm sure, cracking down on protests with lethal force and punishing activists with death sentences. Lovely. Pezeshkian is considered relatively moderate, and that there has been speculation that he wants to relax the strict dress code somewhat. He is dependent on the strict line set by Ayatollah Khamenei, the country's highest spiritual leader. And this is what some people in the United States want, by the way. They want to be led by their highest spiritual leader who will tell people what they're allowed to do, put them in prison. So, and there's people out there who really want that. They want all the people like me, the uppity women, to be locked up and put in breeding farms or something. Anyways, Middle East correspondent Daisy Moore has this to say on NOS. Seeing is believing, and what many Iranians seem to think is well known that President Pezeshkian wants to relax the enforcement of the dress code, but does he really have the final say on the matter? The enforcement of the dress code has always been a wave-like process that is unlikely to change anytime soon. There are certainly more and more women, especially young women, who no longer wear a headscarf outside the home or in cafes. However, it remains legally required. The feeling is that there may be more leeway now, but that it can also be reversed at any time if it suits them. You can't just take away the fear in a country like Iran, not even when a new president makes these kind of statements during a press conference. And ultimately, for many liberal Iranians, it's about much more than whether or not to wear a head covering. They want more freedoms in all kinds of areas. The BBC points out that the UN recently warned that the rules in Iran have actually been tightened. Observers reported that the moral police are being given more powers to enforce stricter controls, that women are being physically assaulted if they don't comply with the rules, and that an even stricter law is in the works. That makes women second-class citizens, the UN reported, because women's rights to participate in public life, to protest peacefully, or to express themselves is being violated. It would amount to nothing less than gender apartheid. The authorities want to completely oppress women and girls through systematic discrimination. At the 2.5-hour press conference, which was broadcast live on Iranian TV, Pezeshkian's remarks were met with modest applause. Hardliners, however, were critical of his comments. Nor did his more moderate tone towards the U.S. sit well with them. We are not hostile to the U.S. We have no bases around the U.S. We have no sanctions against the U.S. It's the other way around. I mean, I can kind of agree with that. Iran is always in the news being like, look what they did. So, if they show goodwill by being less hostile, we have no problem. Pezeshkian claims that Iran has not supplied missiles to Russia since he took office, and that the country is not seeking nuclear weapons. On the Gaza conflict, he asked why the US and Europe give missiles, bombs, and planes, and when Israel is committed to genocide in front of the world. I also ask that question every day. Why do we give Israel missile bombs and planes? Just let them deal with their own problem that they caused for themselves by being terrible co-inhabitors of a country, and we should not help them whatsoever. They brought it on themselves. That's my weird and wacky news on kind of the words not matching the actions of the current regime in Iran, where it seems like it's not getting better, even though some people feel like it is. But we'll see what happens in, I guess, like 5 years when we look back on this and go, you know what, that was that was better, or that was bad.
Yeah.
And on to your story.
It's bad.
It's pretty bad. I'm not going to say it's good.
Treating people like second-class citizens is bad.
Yeah.
But they've been doing it all this time.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have it in the 80s, or they restarted it in the 80s. It wasn't a problem in the 70s. Iran has constantly been on the wheel of, when are we going to subjugate our women? Roulette. They just roll a coin.
We gotta make sure we follow some religious nonsense.
Yeah.
Which religions are nonsense. They're just made to control you. And it's unfortunate that people fall for this.
The people that's trying to control our women.
Okay, from beyond Earth. Right.
Oh, there's a fly.
She loves me.
Even I saw that.
All right, I guess it's my story.
Yep. Get the fly swatter out.
All right, off into the far reaches of the universe. This is from Earth.com. Eric Rowles at Earth.com. Recently, astronomers made an astonishing discovery. A mysterious and powerful burst of radio waves reached Earth after traveling through space for 8 billion years. Dubbed FRB 20220610A, it is one of the most distant and energetic radio signals ever observed. Probably a star explosion, I'm guessing. Fast radio bursts, FRB, 10 flashes of seconds. Yet the origins remain a source of great intrigue and perplexity. We don't know what or who sends these energy bursts. The nature of these signals challenges our understanding of the universe, as they can originate from regions far beyond the Milky Way galaxy, hinting at a process and events that we are only beginning to comprehend. Dr. Stuart Ryder, an esteemed astronomer at Macquarie University in Australia, is among the dedicated team of scientists working diligently to unravel the mysteries surrounding this cosmic enigma. Through advanced technologies and collaborative efforts, they aim to decode the origins and implications of these fast radio bursts, potentially unlocking new insights into the fundamental workings of our universe and the forces that reshape it and shape it. Fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are intense flashes of radio waves that last for just milliseconds. They were first discovered in 2007, and ever since they have captured the curiosity and fascination of the scientific community worldwide. For instance, this recent FRB emitted energy equivalent of what our sun produces over 30 years, and all in less than a blink of an eye. That's what I'm saying. It had to be a star explosion they're recording. Researchers speculate that these cosmic events might be linked to magnetars, a highly energetic remnants left behind by exploding stars. I should be an astronomer. I figured that out, right? Astronomers deployed the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder, or ASCAP, ASKAP, to detect the burst and track down its origin. We used ASCAP radio dishes to skillfully pinpoint where the burst came from, says Dr. Ryder. They revealed it then there. The team also located the source galaxy using the European Southern Observatory's very large telescope, discovering it to be older and more distant than any other FRB source found to date. Believe it or not, these fleeting cosmic fireworks could help us weigh the universe. There's a discrepancy between the amount of normal matter we can detect and what cosmologists theorize should exist. Could the answer be outside our visual spectrum? I'll bet you it is. Why do we think our eyes are the last arbiter of all information? It's so stupid. We only see visible light, folks. That's all we see. More than half of normal matter that should exist today is missing, says Professor Ryan Shannon. He suggests that the missing matter might be hiding in the vast spaces between galaxies, where it is too hot and diffused to see with conventional methods. Enter FRBs. The unique ability to sense the ionized material in nearly empty space allows scientists to measure the matter located between the galaxies. This method, established in 2020 by the late Australian astronomer Jean-Pierre Marquardt, is known as the Marquardt relation. The detection confirms the Marquardt relation, even if bursts halfway across the known universe, adds Ryder. Nearly 50 FRBs have been tracked back to their origins, and about half were discovered using ASCAP telescope. Despite the unknown causes of these enormous bursts, one thing is certain: FRBs are common events in the cosmos and have enormous potential for advancing our understanding of the universe. Professor Shannon believes that the future radio telescopes currently under construction will detect thousands more FRBs. FRBs are common and hold great promise, he says. We could use them to create new map of universe structure and answer big questions about cosmology. The universe is enormous, and much of it still baffles. There's especially disparity between observable and theoretical matter. The missing matter refers to a significant amount that should be there according to our current models of cosmic evolution, but hasn't been seen. It turns out that visible matter, like stars, planets, galaxies, makes up only 5% of the universe's total mass energy content. The other 95% is thought to be dark matter and dark energy, which we can't directly detect. The gap raises some big questions about how the universe is structured and behaves. Researchers think that the missing matter might exist in forms that are hard to spot, like hydrogen gas floating in the intergalactic medium. Recent studies with advanced telescopes have started to find these elusive hydrogen clouds, suggesting that a significant chunk of universe matter could be hiding in this diffuse state. Figuring out what this missing matter is and where it is located is key to getting the complete picture of cosmic evolution and fine-tuning our models how the universe works. Fortunately, the discovery of FRBs and their ability to trace hidden matter should revolutionize how we understand the cosmos. As Professor Shannon points out, even in nearly empty space, FRBs can see electrons and measure the matter present. With more advanced radio telescopes on the horizon, the future of FRB research is looking bright. Each new detection brings us closer to unveiling the secrets of these powerful cosmic events. Beyond mapping the universe structure, FRBs could guide us to fundamental questions about the inner workings of the universe, aligning us closer with cosmic forces and events that shape our cosmos. Despite our growing knowledge base, FRBs remain one of the universe's great mysteries. As researchers venture deeper into the study of these cosmic flashes, one thing becomes clear: we still know very little about the universe in which we live. There's your story from science about radio waves.
About the wild...
fast radio wave bursts, as they call them.
Yes. The FRVs in space.
Yep. Which are exploding stars, I predict, because it's a lot of energy to be released at once.
For sure.
But then the stories of that. Back to you.
Okay. Well, from wild sci-fi, well, not sci-fi, it's real science. From wild science, let's go into the wild world of Fable, the fantasy game based on the UK that gives you a Python X experience, and it's its 20-year anniversary. So we're going to talk about that. This is by Kezzy McDonald on The Guardian. In 2004, Fable was as famous for what it didn't deliver as for what it did, but the Python-esque fantasy game deserves to be remembered for more than that. In 1985, brothers Dean and Simon Carter vowed to each other that they would one day start their own development studio together. The game they imagined was ambitious, as Simon outlined in a developer diary, a fantasy role-playing game populated with compelling and convincing characters with real personality, people who actually reacted to what you did. We wanted each and every person who played our game to have a unique experience, to have their own stories to tell. The idea of a living, reactive game world was an obsession for many game creators and players at the time, largely because it had never been done. In the 1980s, a virtual fantasy world like this was far beyond the realms of technological possibility. 13 years later, they got the opportunity to make the game of their dreams at their own studio, Big Blue Box, working with British studio Lionhead and its well-known co-founder Peter Molyneux. They put together the fantasy game that they imagined, or a version of it anyways. Fable was finally released in September 2004, published by Microsoft on the original Xbox. At the time, thanks to some over-enthusiastic press interviews with the Carter's old friend Molyneux, Fable was notable as much for what it didn't do as for what it did. Hyped up features such as meaningful choice and consequence, acorns that grew into mighty trees over the course of a playthrough, and a game world with no boundaries did not come to pass. But in retrospect, even though Fable was not the best game ever, as Molyneux rather thoughtlessly built it still had a lot of ambitious ideas that other games would take up in years to come. It had tremendous personality that, even now, makes it unique in one of the gaming's most crowded genres. Fable was set in Albion, an idolized version of England's green and pleasant land. All villages and castles and forests packed with baddies and bandits. A place where people gossiped relentlessly and the pub was sacrosanct. Characters all had unashamedly over-the-top British regional accents, and there were a lot of belching, getting pissed, playful townspeople banter, and creative insults. There was a grand quest to embark on naturally, but the player could get involved in petty nonsense too. One of the first things you can do in the game is dob in a cheating husband, or promise to keep his dirty secret for coin, and then dob him in anyways. It was a bit like if Monty Python were to reimagine the world of Robin Hood. You played through your hero's entire life in Fable. The part at least lived up to the billing. Over time, his hair would whiten and his face would become lined, and then suddenly it was over. Fable turned out to be a very linear adventure, and not that long either, a far cry from the immense fantasy worlds that have since become standard. Your choices had no consequence when it came to the story path your hero walked, but they did affect his appearance and how characters spoke about him as he walked past. This was a novel, even if it was the black and white nature of Fable's morality system, meant that most players ended up squarely in the middle. You'd have to slap a lot of townspeople to get enough evil points to cancel out all the virtue points you'd get from slaying bandits and monsters in the normal course of the game. Fable's association with Peter Molyneux has harmed its reputation over the years. The developer became well known as a peddler of broken promises. He tried to write off his repeated bloviations over enthusiasm about his projects, but Molyneux's post-Fable projects have almost all been terminally grandiose. From the Curiosity Cube smartphone experiment that never delivered the prize it promised, the Kickstarter funds GOTUS, which was just very bad, and nothing like what was advertised. More recently, he jumped on the NFT train and raised a reportedly $54 million in virtual land sales, a number that he claims is exaggerated, for a blockchain game called Legacy. While technically extant, the game looks to be completely dead. Molyneux's most recent announced project goes back to the world of Albion, incidentally, a mixture of god game and action game. He's funding it with all that NFT money. Well, maybe it wasn't so bad after all then. But despite the fact that Fable did not remotely deliver on most of the features that Molyneux imagined out loud through its development, it did try. Dean and Simon Carter's idea are in there, even if they don't always work very well. It is like an interesting sketch of what RPGs would later become, when other games did fully realize those dreams of a world that meaningfully reacted to the player. Games such as Skyrim and Mass Effect. Its sequels, Fable 2 and Fable 3, really delivered and fulfilled an old promise that your hero could populate Albion with their own children. That's right, just have sex with everyone and make a bunch of babies. Fable's legacy is complicated. Yeah. It was successful enough that Lionhead was bought by Microsoft in 2006, and its two sequels also sold well. But then Lionhead was told to turn Fable into an asymmetric multiplayer game called Fable Legends, and that game basically took down the whole studio. Yeah, that was a mistake. I don't know anyone who played Fable Legends. I don't know anybody who knows about it. Microsoft shuttered the Lionhead studio in 2016, and it's very sad that such mismanagement caused the downfall of such a unique British developer and such a unique series. But there is hope for Fable's future now, as a generally promising Fable 4 is in development at Leamington Spa Playground Games, another ambitious single-player fantasy role-playing game that hopefully will preserve Fable's brilliant personality, because despite everything else, that playfully British personality is Fable's true legacy. And I have to agree, as a gamer myself, there's not a lot of games that are that equivocally British in such a way. There's games that have people speaking with British accents, but it's kind of just in the middle, generic fantasy kind of stuff. Like, this game was rude. This game had people saying, slang terms. Like, they're all talking Cockney accents and stuff. And, women in the street would, tell you off and stuff. So there was a lot of this, Britishness in this game that I don't know if it's happened ever since, because I'm not playing all the games out there. So I guess let us know in the comments if you know any video games that are unequivocally British, like Fable was. And that's my culture segment on the wacky and weird game of Fable.
They spelled the fence with a C.
Yeah.
That makes them British. That's right. Okay, that's your story. Today in history.
Yep.
Okay, it's getting light outside. This day in history, in 1819, French physicist Jean-Bernard Léon Foucault, who introduced and helped to develop, well, he was born on this day. He introduced and helped develop a technique of measuring with extreme accuracy the absolute velocity of light, and provided experimental proof that Earth rotates on its axis. So he was provided actually has something to do with this story we were just talking about
FRBs?
Radio waves reaching Earth.
Yeah.
He figured out the extreme accuracy, the absolute velocity of light. Anyway, 1885, Bulgarian nationalists in eastern Romania mounted a coup and declared the province's unification with Bulgaria, leading to the Serbo-Bulgarian War. And that happened in 1885. Moving along. Booker T. Washington in 1895. Booker T. Washington declared the Atlanta Compromise, a classic statement on race relations, in a speech in Atlanta. Terrible. Man, I got terrible heartburn this morning. 1898, British forces under Sir Horatio Herbert Kitchener confronted French forces commanded by Jean-Baptiste Marchand at the disputed fort of Fashoda in the Egyptian Sudan. So more war stuff. In 1905, actress Greta Garbo was born in Stockholm. She was best known for her portrayals of strong-willed heroines, most of them compellingly enigmatic as herself. So happy birthday to Greta Garbo. 1933, Canadian ice hockey coach Scotty Bowman was born. He won a record 9 Stanley Cups as head coach in the National Hockey League. Happy birthday, Scotty Bowman. 1948, local communist commander seized power at Madiun, Indonesia as part of a rebellion effort against the Sukarno government in an incident known as the Madiun Affair, or the Madiun Affair in Indonesia in 1948. 1961, UN Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld died in a plane crash that generated much speculation. A 2017 investigation found that it appears plausible that an external attack or threat may have been the cause of the crash. Well, it only took them 50 years to get around to it, but they eventually decided that it wasn't an accident, huh? Way to go, I guess. 1965, Japanese astronomer Ikea, not the store, Ikea, it's IK, sorry, IKEYA, Ikea Kyoto and Seki Tsutomu discovered the comet Akaye Seki, named it after themselves. Akaye Seki. There we go. 1970, American rock blues singer and guitarist, blues singer. American rock and singer guitarist Jimi Hendrix died. He fused American traditions of blues, jazz, rock, and soul techniques of British avant-garde rock to redefine the electric guitar in his own image. He died of an overdose of barbiturates in London at the age of 27. 2001, for the second straight day, Typhoon Nari pounded Taiwan, with the record rainfalls causing massive flooding and killing 79 people. 2014, Scottish voters rejected a referendum that would have made Scotland an independent country. You dumb motherfuckers. Hey, sorry, don't want to disparage our Scottish friends, but why? They got conned, that's what happened. 2020, American lawyer Ruth Bader Ginsburg died at the age of 87. Who's the second woman to serve in the U.S. Supreme Court. Sad day. Our featured event, in 1931, Mukden seized by Japanese. On this day in 1931, the so-called Mukden incident, the Japanese army in Manchuria used the pretext of an explosion along its railway to occupy Mukden and to increase its control within 3 months to all of Manchuria. And the rape of Nanking ensued. Sorry, I'm swatting at a fly. It just won't stop landing on my camera. He's going to land on the lens one of these times.
You're just walking around.
Anyway, this guy. Yeah, damn fly. Our feature biography, Samuel Johnson, English author, born September 18th, 1709 in Lichfield, England, died December 13th, 1784, at the age of 75 in London, England. So, happy birthday to Samuel Johnson. Other birthdays today, we mentioned Greta Garbo. Ben Carson, American neurosurgeon and politician, born on this day in 1951. Stephen Pinker, Canadian-American psychologist, born in 1954. James Gandolfini, the Soprano guy. Tony Soprano, born on this day in 1961. And Lance Armstrong, disgraced American cyclist and steroid user, born in 1971, is turning 53 today. So Lance Armstrong, Mr. Tour de France, who had to give back all of his Tour de France victories because he was cheating.
They can't prove he wasn't cheating, so they have to assume he was, basically.
All right. Well, everybody else was caught doping. He just wasn't caught red-handed. But he was caught by witnesses and eventually had to just give it up and say, yeah, I was cheating. I was using steroids. I was using growth hormone. I'm a big old cheater. Today's today, and it's only three things. It's the Air Force's birthday. It's National HIV, AIDS, and Aging Awareness Day, which I'm aware of aging any day. I don't need that day. I don't need a day for that. Why is HIV, AIDS, and aging all lumped together now? That just seems kind of weird. Like, okay. Everybody's aging, but not everybody has HIV and AIDS. So, I mean, I guess we just call it, I don't know. It's weird to lump them together. Why don't you just have HIV and AIDS have their own day? Why does it have to be lumped in with aging? Because, anyway. I don't make the decisions around here. It's just these National Day people that do it. And it's National Cheeseburger Day, September 18th. So there you are. Those are your 3 days today for September 18th, 2024 on Before Cheeseburger. Before Cheeseburger.
Well, yeah, what is the point of this? It's like when you look at the page for the National...
Cheeseburger, Pepsi. That's from Saturday Night Live. Sorry. I'm sorry.
I just think it's weird, like, I guess that they do that. Yeah, they combined it together. But I guess it's the idea that maybe there's a lot of old people over the age of 50 who get diagnosed with it. So I guess maybe that's what the day's for, campaigning that awareness that people over the age of 50 can also get AIDS and HIV. It's not a young person's disease, I guess. But,
well, it's been around since the 80s.
Yeah, so a lot of those people
are actually...
A lot of
people have been living a long time with it.
But there's been Allison here from the Netherlands who is not planning on accepting a $20,000 fine for every asylum seeker that's kicked out of the Netherlands, or rejected. Sorry, they're not kicked out; they're not even accepted. And we will see you tomorrow for Thursday 13, where we will list off 13 things of Rog's choosing. So it'll be a surprise. So make sure you subscribe, turn off that notification bell, and like this video if you enjoyed learning about all the wacky weird stuff.
Like and subscribe, comment, call me ugly, anything. Man, that dude's ugly.
Yeah, be one of those hate commenters that go, "What the fuck is this?" Like they can't use their brain, you know. What is this? Yeah. People talking on the internet. Welcome. That's your first time.
That's not a useful comment. What is this? Yeah, that's getting deleted immediately. Anyway.
But anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. So make sure you're here tomorrow. And let's look at our mic drop moment.
All right, let's go. Let's start from the beginning. As we start the day with the Star Spangled Banner.
At least your day.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe you haven't heard this.
I've heard the Star Spangled Banner many times.
The Jimi Hendrix version.
I know, I'm just joking. It was a joke.
This is great because it simulates the bombs being dropped. Because the Vietnam War was going on at this time. Bending that note forever.
The drummer is also going at it too in the background.
Oh, Mitch Mitchell, the drummer.
The left-handed guy.
Stratocaster.
Drum it.
So Jimi Hendrix, 54 years ago.
Oh man, he'd be 100.
Now he'd be 81.
Nah, it's probably for the best. More people remember him.
I don't know, man.
You don't think people remember him?
I think the government kills these rock stars. That's always
Oh,
been
really?
my
Okay.
theory. They think.
Hey, that's a fair conspiracy.
Yeah, they
I
always
can believe.
thought rock and roll was subversive.
Yeah.
Tom Petty, Prince. I'm telling you, all these mysterious drug overdoses. Jim Morrison.
But also, like,
Janis
people
Joplin.
like doing drugs. So, I mean.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're easy to pass off as an accidental overdose. Oh yeah, they're always taking drugs.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.